Patrick Bet David.
You're about to be value-tained, everybody.
Oh, are we going to rank the top 5 case studies in history, or what are we up to now?
So these is just some bros at the Patrick Bet David. Patrick Bet David is a guy who set up, like, I believe, a life insurance sort of multi-level marketing thing. And
made a lot of money.
Yeah, so those are the type of businesses he's done. So he's a business expert now. And he talks about businesses, and he has a problem with the way Lululemon doesn't seem to honor their founder, and we'll get into him a little bit more because he's a pretty interesting character. But
so when you said they're founders, you were telling me about this before the show briefly. I assumed we were talking about the founding fathers.
One thing to know about founders currently is that they think of themselves as the modern day Thomas Jefferson. So if you made a sort of like mug company, or like say for instance you sold yoga pants,
right, which are very much like the tights that George Washington wore.
Yeah, exactly. You're basically in Monticello as Thomas Jefferson. And
yeah,
so like
this whole podcast is like copy and pasting business speak onto the government.
And what's funny about this is, like, and we'll get into how Lululemon's performing specifically, but like I would have got a different impression of how Lululemon is doing based on the way this conversation goes.
But the context is, I guess, that the Lululemon founder said...
He talks a bunch of shit, and he recently said that we have to be specific about who we want wearing our clothes, which is like it's like what it's like what the Abercrombie founder, who then got ousted, said, just basically like, we don't want fat people wearing our clothes. Yeah. I mean, this founder, we'll get into some of the stuff he says, but he said a lot of things. Like back like 10 years ago, responded to concerns that the yoga pants pilled, that made those little fuzzies. And he said, well, it's because some women with the wrong body types are wearing the yoga pants. Basically, their thighs are too big. So yeah, and he said some very racist things too. But anyway, let's hear the business guys discuss this first.
Go to the next story. Lululemon hits back at founder anti-DEI comments. Lululemon hits back at the founder's anti-DEI comments. They do not reflect our company's views. Look at this company. They do not reflect our company's views. You are your founder's company. What do you mean they do not reflect our company's views? Your founder started your company. Can you imagine how dumb it is for you to say what you just... Do you understand what they're saying?
Of course.
Lululemon hits back at the founder. If it wasn't for the founder, there is no Lululemon. You know...
Ungrateful?
Yeah, basically what's happening in America today, we don't endorse what our founding fathers of America basically tried to make here in America.
They were here way before you and I were here. America matters way more than you and I do. They start this great country. Lululemon distanced itself from its founder Chip Wilson's recent criticism of the company's diversity and inclusion efforts. Wilson has stated they're trying to become like the Gap, everything to everybody. You've got to be clear that you don't want certain customers coming in. What a powerful statement. The company issued a statement clarifying that Wilson's comments do not represent Lululemon's views or beliefs. They highlighted that Wilson had no involvement with the company since his resignation from the board in 2015. Wilson, known for previous controversial remarks, also criticized some of the models used in Lululemon's advertising campaigns as sickly, unhealthy, and not inspirational, according to Forbes.
Look, as they always say, you try to please everybody, you please nobody. And this is exactly what's happening here. It's so upsetting. You're founder of multiple companies, PBD. It must be so upsetting for the founder of a company, the vision that they have, the vision that they cast, the belief that they have, the company they found, and then a decade or two later, completely see it crumble. Totally endorse what Chip Wilson is saying on this one. And he brings up the Gap. He brings up companies that have just basically tried to basically make it the body positivity movement. We see what's going on at Victoria's Secret. It used to be known as if you're the most gorgeous, beautiful, fit, like cream of the crop woman out there, you'll get some angels on your back, right?
So the founder of Victoria's Secret has anyone ever Googled, have they, his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, I would say like PBD, they seem to be in certain cases, like for instance, if a Hollywood celebrity is associated with Jeffrey Epstein, very on that case. But when it comes to discussing how Trump is very associated with Epstein, or hey, Les Wexner.
Yeah.
The problem with Victoria's Secret, is that it's associated with extreme levels of exploitation of women, including like the guy was an Epstein associate.
Yes. And like from my perspective, Victoria's Secret, the quality of their bras and things like that, it's just not up to par with more competitive brands at this point.
I was going to save this reveal to later, but I think it might be kind of important context that when he says like, oh, you're a founder and you see your company crumble in front of your eyes and try to become like, I thought that these guys' one core brand proposition was they like are familiar with business. Mm-hmm. Lululemon has been crushing it like,
oh my gosh,
straight through the exit in 2015 of this dumbass. And when it says like they try to become Gap, it's like, yes, they are expanding into markets besides yoga pants because that's where the money is.
Yes, they're also doing. Was like some of the stuff that Rowan, one of our sponsors, does, like workwear that doesn't wrinkle and things like that. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say also Gap as a company has other brands for more specific needs, like Banana Republic, I think, and also like Old Navy is the same thing too. So like again, they don't really have a good sense of business acumen because you got to do your fiduciary duty to appeal to more customers. It's like the ego driving them to go like, I would rather be an exclusionary company that focuses on pleasing a core audience of men with my women's athleisure brand, I guess.
Yeah.
And even if that means leaving money on the table, and it's like shareholders don't like when you say stuff like that.
That's what's amazing, right? Like these guys are capitalists to their core. They're obsessed with business, and they keep like, but yet they don't like understand fundamental concepts of growth in business because they're so emotionally attached to the founder's vision. Because like PPD, would this not be a violation if you founded the company, it was taken over by somebody else, and then they chose to make more money with it in a way that didn't fit like your very specific ideas of what your customer base should be, which are like, it's fairly bigoted. Like, is that not almost sacrilegious to the business community?
And it's hilarious. Like, exactly. It's like the thing about, and like the trite sort of truisms, like this is what happens when you try to be everything to everybody. It's like, that's what Nike and Adidas do, and it works for them because that's, if you want to make more than just some yoga pants, like, and you want to expand in different markets, like Lululemon has been doing, as they even admit here. Actually, let's put it.
And again, I alluded to it, but Les Wexner, the former CEO of Victoria's Secret, has been alleged to literally have been accused by some of the Epstein victims of like having sex with underage girls.
Yes, and actually, as we'll find out here, one of those guys thinks that sort of environment in modeling is wokeness. So let's just let them develop that thought.
Now it's like, if you're looking like Amy Schumer and you do your thing out there, about this, Vin.
God.
It's like, we'll throw some mud-colored angel's wings on you, and we'll just you roll around like a little pig out there. If you're Lizzo out there, hey, looking good, you can endorse our product. I'm assuming the whole premise of Lululemon was basically look good, feel good, be fit, be athletic, get your ass out there, work out, be comfortable, do your thing. But now it's turned into basically a DEI prerequisite, where if you're fat, you're gonna make it in this company.
This is not exactly. This is not the first founder that looks back on a company he made and watches them deteriorate and has something to.
I just want to. I don't want to be too superficial here, but these guys discussing like women's
levels of attractiveness.
What women might want from a marketplace.
Yeah.
No, it's that, and it's like they're just not obviously not the target consumer. Gap, I'm pretty sure, is a bigger company than Lululemon, so like it is something to aspire to if you're a clothing brand. But to Emma's point before we had turned the video back on, like capitalism for guys like this and for a lot of people online only is supposed to exist to reaffirm their preconceived notions about the way the marketplace or the way reality should work.
Right.
It's not supposed to actually be like, okay, well, in a free market system, you're going to try to appeal to the most people. It's supposed to be like every ad I see is supposed to reaffirm my already present biases, because that's how it used to work in advertising, and that's how it used to work in like business. And now that it's different, they're trying to create some sort of new regulatory state that means that you can't go woke.
Yeah, it's also, I'm not exactly sure, like they keep bringing up Amy Schumer and Lizzo, who are like not rail thin.
Yeah.
But they're also talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. So like I thought that they were going down a racialized angle, but they're also lumping in different body types. And
it's a buffet.
Athleisure, it's not just about working out. There's the leisure part of it too.
Yeah.
The reason people like these products, all body types, is because leggings are comfortable. I'm wearing leggings right now. It's better than pants. And so that's why they're trying to expand, to make money.
It's like, but what about when those like fat guys at Walmart, no offense, like are always in like affliction shirts or like tap out like MMA shirts? Why is that not against the rules? Right.
That's for wrestling.
I mean, you cannot wear a football jersey if you are not in football shape.
I agree. As a fit person, I think athleisure is stealing valor, but I don't think that that's something that other people are allowed to say.
Yeah.
Say about it. I seem to recall that Steve Jobs returned to Apple after they had their 40 years in the desert.
Yeah.
And Howard Schultz returned to Starbucks. Maybe Chip needs to return. And by the way, the comments he made about models was, you have to remember, fashion is incredibly woke industry, and it's an incredibly drug-addled industry. Yes, I said it, but it's true. And they're talking about these size 1 models that are on the cocaine and Diet Coke diet, and he was saying they look sickly. They don't look healthy. So this is not good. But somewhere between that and all this body positivity stuff. And so he's out there talking. Would they rather have the CEO of American Apparel, that CEO who would use drugs in the office, and it was just a free-for-all of sort of an orgy of wokeness?
Wow, this is like a real throwback. Yeah, because the CEO of American Apparel, there was a lot of drama,
controversy
surrounding that, especially with the models, especially with the ages of the model.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the problem, right? Yeah, no one's saying that. I also
give me that guy back.
Look, I like athleisure and stuff like that, so I know a little bit about Lululemon, and the reason also why they've expanded is because now they do menswear. Like they didn't do that before. That's a part of that.
They actually go
growth.
into that too. Yeah.
Is that woke? Because they're only talking about women's body types. This is just an excuse for misogyny.
No. Somehow they credit that to the guy who's been out since 2015 as a great thing he did.
That's not when they expanded to men.
I know.
Or at least that was around the time they did.
It's just weird to like call the hiring of plus size model like a DEI initiative. Like I don't think that's. I
think it's a capitalist initiative.
Yes, models are not representative of your workforce. The DEI applies to the internal politics of a company, as opposed to what they're trying to present to markets to get those people to buy their products.
Like the average, Twitter, incel / misogynist, I think is offended by the idea that there might be a model that they're not actually attracted to. And, I think that's...
Or they're nervous about their attraction.
I mean, that's another good point. But I mean, I feel the same way when I listen to right-wing talk shows. I'm like, how do these people get paid for their ideas? So, I mean, we just have to live in the world we live in. That's that's my,
right.
Not going to enjoy everything.
Not everybody's content's for everything.
That's what you
gotta jack off to every chick you see.
That's
the only value they see in women. That's the truth.
Exactly. Bros, you are making a category area here. This stuff is not like a section of Pornhub that's people working out. It is trying to sell clothes to people who are a large market, a growing market section, which in 1980, one state maybe was over 20% in obesity.
Yeah.
Now it's pretty much every state.
It's 40% of the country, I think, is technically obese. That's what they're trying to expand to. But you see how misogynistic they are, right? They only value women as valuable to like their capitalist enterprise if they want to fuck them, basically.
Which is like, ultimately the Victoria's Secret catalog should be for women who are going to buy those bras. Same with like Lululemon's catalogs or ads to see what the clothing will look like on somebody who is, similar or exactly or close to their body size. It's not for like old men to jack off to.
Yeah.
Like that's just like not even the purpose, but they feel comfortable positioning it like it's the purpose. Like that's what always models have been for, just because of like the misogyny in the industry, when you might argue that models now are closer to what their purpose should actually be, except for in high fashion where they're all still look exactly the same, where models in like retail fashion now resemble the people who are going to be buying the clothes, and like you can see what it looks like. It's again free market.
I'm sorry, but it's a storyline in the first season of Mad Men where like they're saying, what do women want? They ask, and then and Roger says, who cares? Because they're men making decisions. Like there's the whole scene where you're either a Marilyn or a Jackie, and they present that as the brassiere to who's to like as their campaign, and it's liked by the men in the boardroom, but you have Peggy coming up and she says like the women want to be presented not as a type but as their own individual human being. It's the misogyny in advertising and like it being male dominated goes back very long, but anyway.
So I skipped a little bit ahead here, and
it's doing it for a long time.
Hear a little bit more about.
They're very upset
about this guy who left in 2015.
To him. This guy's a little bit of a joke prankster type of a guy, just so you know that. He says, so here's a story by him.
I want to hear that.
Outrageous remarks by Lululemon founder Chip Wilson. This is our kind of a guy, by the way.
Where's he from originally?
I don't know where he's from, but dude, I was with him. His family was there. They were all laughing, having a good time. Well, you could tell this guy enjoys his life.
Fun guy.
Okay, so let me read this to you. Wilson once claimed that smoking and birth control pills led to high divorce rates. Okay, so that pissed a lot of people off. 2, he once said he chose to call his company Lululemon because he thought it was funny that Japanese people couldn't pronounce the letter L.
Jesus.
Oh, what a prankster.
He said it was so funny to watch them try to say it. He says,
crazy pranks is racist.
Yeah, boards love those kind of pranks when you are poisoning your brand in an entire country.
Yeah.
Because of that, I named my company Lululemon. Wilson is an avid fan of Ayn Rand and stated printing the phrase, "Who is John Galt?" on the company's bags in November of 2011 without his CEO knowing about it. Like, this is that guy, okay?
Wonder why he's not in charge anymore.
It's like the racist fascist version of Disney, like hiding penises in the background of their cartoons. Okay.
Without his CEO knowing about it. Like, this is that guy, okay? So then he takes the company and realizes most of them are women. You know what he ends up doing? Can you type in right now Lululemon? What percentage of Lululemon customers are women versus men, okay? I want to say the number he brought down from 100% to 88% to today's like 1/3, 2/3. Yeah, check that out. A third of the customer are men.
We're in those
Would you have ever thought about it?
No.
Think about when you think about Lululemon, you don't think about women, right?
Yeah.
You don't think about men, you think about women. A third of his customers in 2020, let alone today. So these guys were able to get both men and women. There's a reason why he's worth $7 billion. This guy's a bad-ass guy. Respect to Chip. We need more Chips in America to create jobs. A behemoth of a company he built, and he's worth $7 billion. And these clowns are saying our founders' comments doesn't reflect what we stand for as a company. Let me get this straight. He gave the company the name. He came up with the ideas for women, for yoga. He did all that stuff, and you don't value what the founder said. You know how comical and foolish this sounds? This is the same exact thing where these magazines like Forbes, that were once the best magazine for every capitalist in America, now the writers are a Columbia grad journalist, bullshit, liberal, left, can't stand capitalists, can't stand business people, is not telling business people how bad capitalist is, how bad these money people are. That's what happens to the brand eventually, and loses its control. Hopefully that doesn't happen to Lululemon. But all I'm saying right now, if you've never met this man, if you've never spent time with this man, go study his book, study him. He's an absolute stud.
Okay, could he have just saved us all a lot of time and just sucked him off right on camera?
They should do like a whole like rant like this about like Papa John? Because I mean, all that stuff basically applies to him too.
Yeah, right. I know exactly. I mean, so what? He sold his 13.85%.
He resigned as chairman in 2013,
and he sold that share in 2014. And when did Lululemon expand to men? All right, we got to look this up. I don't know.
It's just amazing that it's not enough to be rich. You have, or even just successful. People have to like just
2014.
Oh wow!
So at the very end, so the entire growth would be after he had been gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's a risk taker, so sometimes risks don't pay off.
I mean, honestly, it sounds weirdly personal to PBD.
No, you're right. I mean, he talks about, I went to this guy's house and interviewed him personally. This is all personal. And that's the thing is like, when Lululemon now says he's getting in the way of what we stand for as a business, make no mistake, Lululemon is not here to do DEI. Lululemon is here to make money, and that's what they are doing, and that's what they've been doing since that motherfucker left. And he gets in the way of that when he says, yeah, I gave it this name because Japanese people can't pronounce it, and I like to see them try. And also fat women shouldn't buy our stuff.
Yeah.
Like that, and also I'm going to secretly put Ayn Rand stuff onto it without seeing you knowing. That's not woke people at Fortune magazine. That's the CEO that exists at Lululemon and the board members. Those are capitalists.
Right.
Those are the capitalists, buddy. And that's what's weird about these guys is that they're like, why can't capitalism, like you say, be what it used to be when Roger and Mad Men was like, who cares what women think?
Yeah, right. All right, let's take a call here. That was pretty amazing.